You are watching the Mid-Table and Up podcast highlights. Please put your foot through that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, as well as Spotify and the podcasts app.
There's not usually a year goes by without someone mentioning his name as being one of the best in the world. And by his own standard, it's probably been a pretty poor year, but he's still up there as one of the best in the business, Lionel Messi.
Nice. Great shout. So, okay, I mean, I said back to normality. You know what? And this is, again, probably very harsh. I've not got Messi on my list at all.
Would he start for England, though, George? Would he start for England?
Yes, he would, to be fair.
I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, he would. Yeah.
But no, as I said, I've not even put Messi on my list.
He's not on my list either, I'll be honest.
No, and I toyed with. I kind of thought about not having him. And you kind of, because you look at it, you think Messi, Ronaldo, it's boring every year. They're up there.
Yeah.
But his numbers are still ridiculous. And he's had such a difficult year with off-field stuff, with the stuff with the board, with players leaving, and yet he still churns out performance after performance for a Barcelona side which is poor. Let's be honest, it's a poor Barcelona side.
Oh, yeah. It's easily the worst side in his time there, 100%.
And without Messi, they're absolutely nowhere near anything. No. They're nowhere near titles, they're nowhere near Champions League titles. And he still puts in performance after performance. And then it looked like he was going to leave in the summer. He didn't in the end, but he's just. I mean, you've run out of words, haven't you? At this point, I mean, what can anyone say on Messi that they haven't already said? And that's probably why we maybe shouldn't have mentioned him, because everyone knows him. Everyone knows what Messi's about.
No, but I mean, to be fair, I feel like Messi's at that point in his career where, I mean, I would have disagreed with it, but if you'd have just said Messi is my number one because Messi is Messi, I would have just gone, fair enough. Like, as I said, that wouldn't. As I said, he didn't make my list.
So, but he's in your list because of the adversities that he had to face, but still triumphed or still put out ridiculous results.
There's certainly part of that. I mean,
he's the best player in the world.
His performance against himself in 2020 has not been at his level. But that is down to off-field problems. This Barcelona team is nowhere near as good as other ones he's played.
So in the face of that adversity,
and he's still fantastic.
It's quite funny actually, because for the reasons that you did put him in your list, I've not put him in mine. I know, obviously, as you said, I know on the pitch he's still been fantastic. Again, you look at the numbers that he's got this year, they're still very, very good, even if they're not quite the highs that you would normally expect for him. But again, and you look at his overall play, he's still producing moments of genius. And I don't blame, as you said, everything going on with the board, I don't blame him for wanting to leave, or at least I don't blame him for the way everything went down after that Bayern Munich defeat, because it was bad. And let's be real, the club at the minute, it's not operating at the standard that it should be. Messi knows that.
I think there's a lot of this with the election and the board leaving.
It shows the influence Messi has over that club. He basically got a whole board of directors to resign.
Yeah,
that is ridiculous.
They were already in the I think they were already in the process of losing the position anyway, because the election was coming up. But yeah, you're right. You got them to do it fucking early.
That whole club right now, I think it's really rotten to the core. I know they've obviously just changed personnel upstairs, but for me, they've still got so much work to do, and I don't blame Messi for not wanting to be there. And as you said, he can't be expected to do everything himself, and he has still performed well despite these issues. But I just they have been at the minute they're not even remotely close to the top of La Liga, and obviously they were absolutely hammered at the end of the Champions League last season. And as again, I appreciate that one player can only do so much.
And Messi does about as much as he can do.
Yeah, it's just I think in terms of his career, this has been one of the worst years of his career.
I agree, and that's part of kind of that's why I kind of appreciate this year maybe more than other Messi years, in terms of what Matt talked about earlier of the expectation. The expectation of Messi is insane.
It's through the roof.
Yeah, and this year the expectation is slightly less because of the team.
Yeah, it's a bit weird though, because again, I think it's been going this kind of way for a while, in the sense that if you look at the way that they've exited the Champions League for the last 3 years in a row, each year it's been embarrassing the way they've gone out. Obviously,
that is true.
And again, as I said, like, Messi can only do so much.
But I mean, you look at the Liverpool exit not this season before.
2019, yeah.
Yeah, and he scored 2 goals in the home game, and he was ridiculously good. I mean, Barcelona should have won that game 3-0. It's mainly because of Messi they did. He scores a worldie of a goal and another one. As I say, it's not been his best year. That's why it's not number 1. Messi on his best year is 1 on this list every time.
Yeah.
That's why he's 4. His worst year is still better than almost every other player's good year. And that is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, because in terms of the performances, I do agree with you in terms of what he's produced on the field. I still think it's been spectacular. But as far as the problems at Barcelona go, do you think that he's maybe played his own part in that? Because, as I said, I do obviously get that the club is nowhere near where it should be, and I get why he would want to leave. But would you say that the way he approached that was possibly quite poor? Because there was obviously that big dispute over, is he going to go? Is he going to stay? And in obviously, previous years, it was just a ploy to get a new contract. But obviously, he's not signed a new contract this time round. He's just been made to honour that remaining year on his deal.
Messi and his agents and his whole team are not stupid. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
1,000% they knew what they were doing. I think they got the whole fucking world talking about it, and we all fucking licked our lips, and we're like, oh my god, can he go anywhere else? Can he do it in Stoke on a cold Wednesday night?
Yes, obviously.
Oh, of course he could.
The thing with that whole situation, he didn't play it great, but
I think it's by purpose, though, is my point.
I would argue that he's earned the right to do that. Mm-hmm. Because of what he's given to Barcelona.
I agree, but I still think it's a shitty thing to do at the same time, though.
I also don't think he did it for himself. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I think he was angry at the decision to sell Luis Suarez, and he made that very clear at the time, and he thought he was treated very poorly, and that's one of his best mates in the club. And I can kind of appreciate being a bit of a dick if you're doing it for a friend. Which I think is what he's doing, because Messi doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's got this big ego, who thinks, I'm moving for me, I'm going to get out, I don't like these guys, I don't like that guy, I'm going to cause a massive fucking problem. It doesn't strike me as that kind of character. I could be wrong, but he doesn't strike me as that kind of character.
I think in his team, they had the conversation, and Messi went, what the fuck are the board doing? I'm sure the Luis Suarez incident was one of many instances that Messi saw. And I think Messi saw the influence that not only has on Barcelona, on the Barcelona fan base, on the Barcelona electorate, but he also saw the influence that he had in global football. And if I kick off a fuss, if I even so much as say I fancy leaving, everyone in the world would be talking about Barcelona and the problem that is the board and the lack of direction and the poor management of the club, and it will get them ultimately sacked. And what did it do? Get them ultimately sacked. So I agree with you, Simon. I think it was much more strategic than just I want to leave. You can read a fucking contract. He can pay good enough lawyers to do that. He's not stupid.
Yeah, I think as the way the whole thing went down, because I really don't necessarily blame him for feeling the way that he did. And especially when, as I said, it's easily the worst Barcelona have been as a club in his time there. It's just, as I said, I feel like it more added fuel. I feel like it almost added fuel to the fire rather than took away.
But I mean, we're straying off this topic though. This topic was about best.
Yeah. No, you're right.
2020.
But to be fair, I feel like it factors in. I feel like it factors in though. I do feel like it factors in.
But I do think his numbers are still ridiculous. He's still a great footballer. Yeah. His stuff on the field has been great.
Yeah.
Yes, he could have maybe dealt with some stuff differently, but that's not what we were talking about. So.
I still think he's the best player in the world. I just don't think he had the best 2020, or at least not.
And that's why he's number 4. That's my point.
Yeah, but even then, out the other 10 players that on my list, I still don't think he had as good a 20. Despite the numbers, as
that's
good
fair.
a 2020.
That's why we have this decision. That's
It's
why
not as good as Mason Greenwood.
God.
This fucking guy, man. This fucking guy.
No, honestly, I don't think I'm going to be able to let that one go, Matt. I'm going to throw that out there.
Mate, this is up there with Spurs winning the league.
Oh, it's not.
No, I think it is.
He had a good 2020. There's nothing more to it.
No, but better than Robert Lewandowski's 2020. Nah, mate.
Twice as good. Twice as good as Robert Lewandowski. Anyway. George, you're number 4. Let's move on.
Number 4. Right. That's the final whistle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Mid-Table and Up podcast. If you enjoy our top 10 lists, please make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Let us know what you would have done differently. If you watch this episode on YouTube, make sure to put your foot through that subscribe button and leave a like on the video, as well as follow us on Spotify, the podcast app, to keep up to date with the series. Thank you very much. See you next time.